Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, May 11th, and this is Nadex Morning Analysis. I am Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. With me from Keep Trading Simple, Brian Caprice. We're going to talk about some hot spots in the markets today where you might want to be looking for trading opportunity. Before we get there, I do need to share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and might not be appropriate for everyone. That any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. So the story today, real quickly before we go through it. One, equities, U.S. equities are down across the board. Everything is selling off, a pretty decent sell-off, all being led by technology. The Nadex sell-off was pretty significant yesterday, seeing it again today. We're going to take a look at the NASDAQ and some of the other equity indices potentially. Oil also backed off yesterday. Everyone, when oil opened on Monday, yesterday, because of that pipeline, everyone thought oil was going to pop in price. But then people realized that that's not an oil pipeline that was shut down. It was gasoline and diesel fuel. Right, the byproducts, we talked about that yesterday. It's what you refine oil into. So oil backed off. It's gasoline and heating oil number 2, or diesel fuel, where prices are spiking because there's going to be limited supply on the East Coast until they finish resolving that. The one other thing we're going to talk about, the one place that's not selling off. Now, it's not going up, but it's not going down either, and that's gold. And that is, we're looking at inflation, but oddly, these selling pressures across the board are preventing gold from going higher. It's just simply not going lower. So with that, let's Brian, I'm going to flip this over to you. Sure. And let's start with the U.S. equities. I know we're going to talk about inflation, and because it's just what everyone's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, so far in the overnight, and again, guys, I apologize for no camera today. I actually switched offices with my wife. She starts a brand new job today. And so I changed offices and actually moved into the bigger office. So for some reason, the camera says it's being used. I have no idea who's using it because it's not me right now. But so I'm here. As far as what we saw in the overnight, really not too much. We had major slides yesterday, and it's things that we talked about. On the news front, there really is not much. We had some Australian data earlier, the annual budget release, which is not really a big deal. And then at 10 o'clock today, we do have the BOE, Governor Bailey speaking. That's probably going to provide a bit of a catalyst. So those of you that do cover currencies, watch the pound. We had that major movement yesterday, but right now we're at +5 on the pound dollar and -10 on the pound yen. And really, euro pound is really more or less flat right now. So currencies are kind of in the wait and see type mood right now. The only news that really kind of carries back over, you can see that they talked about treasury yields today. Nothing really crazy there, some safe havens, but for the most part, I mean, all we have Biden talking about people need to take the jobs or lose unemployment, which is something we knew before. And then the Colonial Pipeline hackers apologize, and they promise they'll ransom less controversial targets later, which kind of an interesting stance on it, but okay. We'll see. I mean, it'll get open, and they're sorry. They didn't mean to do it, but they did mean to do it. They just said, we'll pick different targets next time. So they're going to be getting it. And then again, going into tomorrow, and again, we'll do a bigger breakdown later on today. Tomorrow morning, for those of you that just catch the morning episodes, I would expect some European movement one way or the other with preliminary GDP, economic forecast for the EU, Bailey speaking again, and then bam, right at 8:30 tomorrow, we have CPI coming in for inflation. So gold today will be positioning itself for a potential area of movement tomorrow. As far as what the charts look like,
hold on, sorry.
I guess we could start with NQ because that's where we talked about yesterday. I mentioned that we had a level of support here, but the fact that this one was already red, that if there's any type of turn in the ES and the Dow, look for this thing to collapse. And if we broke, 13,588, it's going. And guess what? It went. It moved, and we talked about having a little bit of a sticking area down here at 13,491, and you can see it. We hit it, we bounced up, based above it, and then collapsed through it again. So there was a second opportunity to be able to take this one short if you hadn't already caught the major move yesterday. Then we ran into an area lower that was an area of buyers, but we had one touch, two touches, and again, you can see that the third touch stepped in. It came up and based above, basically a signal that, hey, this is going to collapse through the floor, and it did. It dropped, it pulled back, and then it continued to push lower. So right now we're sitting in a level, and it is kind of an interesting level. I wouldn't say that there's really, besides the unemployment aspect of it, there's nothing really necessarily earth-shattering. So I would kind of expect some type of stabilization here at some point. I'm going to actually bring it up a little bit so you can kind of get a broader view on the hourly. You can see it's been a while since price has been here, since back to, I say a while, but I mean, we're talking about, the end of March. So, it was a decent level on an hourly. You can see the level that formed here. It was an okay one, right? It kind of pulled back at base and kind of took off. It wasn't the explosive move, right? But you will see, if you notice the colors in the background, we have the pink up top, blue in the middle, green below. We're starting to get back into that territory. We're starting to look for longs again, and there is an untested level a bit lower. So we're sitting here right now. We'll see what the U.S. trader does with this, this morning open. For the most part, this is the UK open right here, this little peak right here. Whoops, it's this one. Go down to 30-minute, make it a little easier for you guys to see. That right there is where the European open was. So you can see European pressure so far has been straight down. There will be profit taking from that. Is it a time to go long? Probably not yet, but we'll see if we can put a bottom here. I wouldn't be surprised if we do get one, but we'll have to see what the what the U.S. trader feels about today. I will say that I will watch out this level down here, the 12,895, only because if you talk about from the European open down, that's quite a big move, right? That is about 100. I'm sorry. That's about 400 points to the downside. If we could hit that level today, that's, if we look back up at the daily ATR of the NQ, you can see that it's about 245. So we're kind of right now, we're kind of getting close to that. And actually, here, I'll just do it real quick. From European open down, we're at 190 already. So about another 50 points lower, we've hit our average daily move. So again, if we extend it too far, we'll be looking for some type of a bounce or a pullback. Answer is probably yes. But that's what I got for the NQ.
So hang on one second. I just want to kind of point something out just quickly. And it's just interesting. And this is also a little bit of a lesson on binary options. You can see there is definitely volatility going on here. One, there's an important level down here. It's the 13,000 even, right? And we talk about these big numbers. Right now, the market, we've got it hasn't opened yet, but we've got 7 hours and 22 minutes until these binary options settle, and everything either goes to 0 or 100. Right now, they're saying there's a 72% chance that it will settle above 13,000, which means there's over a 25% chance, over 1 in 4 right now, that it'll settle below 13,000. The market is giving some probability to a washout. Now, that 13 level is also a psychological level. So, I mean, is it way too much of a move that the NASDAQ would normally make in a day? But it's been making some pretty significant moves just from yesterday. We were at 13,650, and are we going to drop 650 points in the NASDAQ in 2 days? Well, yeah, we could if there's a total washout. And just for posterity, because we talked about it yesterday, and and these numbers, sometimes it's just like the market wants to see them touch it. We talked yesterday about the Dow being a stone's throw from 35,000 even. It literally touched 35,000. I think it actually went. Maybe it was a few pennies short. It touched 35,000. And then it was just straight down from there. It's like it wanted just to get there, just to say it got there. So could the NASDAQ do something similar, get down to 13,000 just to say they pushed it down there? It's distinctly possible, and that might be a level. Just those 000 numbers can be pretty significant. So sorry, Brian, I'm going to flip it back over to you.
No problem. No, I could have just flipped it over this way and said, "Here you go, Todd." Yeah. So, I mean, this is the one yesterday, and I mentioned that, 35,000, just like oil, $100 a barrel for the first time was a major, that guy he was proud that he paid $100 per barrel, I mean, he wouldn't be proud now, but he was really, really excited that, hey, I was the first one to buy. It's the same thing. And it did. It literally turned. So right now we pulled back to a kind of a small level. It's not my favorite type. I do like the one candle base, and again, this is on the 30-minute. There's a level a little bit lower down here at 34,252. I think if the market's going to turn, I think that gives us a pretty decent opportunity. We got a little bit more room to run to the downside. We've kind of had a little profit taking, but it's about 150 points down. Based off of everything we've seen in the overnight, being 9 o'clock right now, and seeing kind of the reaction, I'm kind of somewhat wondering if we'll see the profit taking come in right around the open, but the retail trader will say, "Oh my God, it's been negative all night. Oh my God, it's down 76%, 0.76%. Let's go, let's short." And then we have one of these scenarios where we come down and we tag this right around 10:30 in the morning, something like this off the open, and then take a bounce at like 10:30 or 11 o'clock today. Is kind of what I'm wondering. Like I said, they're all pretty negative at this point. The ES is kind of the same thing. The S&P, it's pushing down, and there's two levels, and we talked about a couple levels down here that we'd watch out for, but we didn't really love them. That's why this one was orange, and you can see we kind of went back through. But this is an untested level down here at 4,119 and 25. Kind of the same thing percentage-wise if you look at it. This one requires about, what are we talking about here? Like 13 points to the downside. So kind of the same idea. Like if we were going to bounce, this would be kind of an odd place to turn. And again, it is. The retail trader's not in there yet. But if we could get down, 10:30, maybe 11 o'clock, look for some type of a bounce back again, and maybe a settling, by tomorrow back up here in the 4150. Like I said, there's no real major news or anything like that we need to watch out for. And even tomorrow morning, the big one will be CPI, and they haven't changed any of the forecasts on CPI. And again, the reason why I'm saying we could go up after it's been so negative is because the previous CPI rating, again, was 0.6%, and they're saying for regular CPI month over month, it's only 0.2, which means inflation is coming in slower than it was before, which also reaffirms that they are not going to change anything as far as interest rates or kind of constricting on the market, which again, the market loves it. You're not raising interest rates, the market tends to respond in a favorable condition, which is typically straight up. So again, I'd be looking for buying, whether or not it's here. Again, we'll see what type of bounce it takes off of it. But if it gets to this level at 10:30, it may be worth looking at something. Again, I don't know. I don't have my call spreads up, or my knockouts up. But I mean, if there's a knockout down in that range, that could be something that you could play from now till the end of the week. If you can find something at one of those two levels just a bit lower.
So you know what? I'm just going to take a peek at the. That was the Dow, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm down. I'm sorry. Yes.
Oh, that was ES. That was ES. Yeah, let me just kind of take a peek. As a matter of fact, here, I'm just going to flip this over here. We do have these.
I'm down a monitor, so I'm like looking all over. I'm like, wait, where's the other screen?
Yeah, you just got to. The nice thing about the knockouts, I do like is these blue lines on the left-hand side, which give you the very clear. It's very easy to see it, but Brian's looking for a bounce. What was the level that you had around?
I have one at 41.19 and then one at 41.02.
So right. So here, I'm just going to draw this on here very quickly, just to give you an idea. Right around here. Oh, just right, and you can see that's from the bottom of this last pullback. So are there is there a knockout? I mean, it's close. It's actually close.
Yeah, and it may even be the 41.02. And like I said, it's going to take some power to punch through that one. And you can always make the call when you get down there whether it's acceptable risk or not to the upside. But I mean, there's two of them in there that looks like they're.
Now, if it were 41.02, you'd want to choose a different knockout because although if you tried for the one of them and you got knocked out, you would get knocked out if it came down because this level's just below 4,100 even, and we just as we had spoken before, there's that 4,100 even. Sometimes just this is a 00 instead of a 000. I don't want to steal all your thunder. I did drop a link into the chat. Brian's going to be doing a full-blown day today. Do you want to just quickly touch very briefly on gold and oil, or oil as a setup for tomorrow? I mean, gold as a setup for tomorrow. I mean, oil, we were just going to go back through just to show it sold off a little bit. In fact, I could probably just bring that up and you could probably just discuss gold.
Gold's up right now. Yep.
Okay, so before you do, I just wanted to show everyone because we did talk about it. Yesterday, it opened higher. Right? Everyone thought, oh my gosh, there's going to be a problem. It even traded higher after we had spoken about it. Brian and I were saying, it's the oil pipeline, not gas. I mean, it's a gasoline and heating oil pipeline, not oil. And sure enough, as people kind of came to their senses, it came down and it's continued to trend, and it's even traded lower. So sometimes the news can make things move, but you need to understand why it's moving
Yeah, it
and
doesn't mean
should it
it's
be
yeah.
doing it, right?
The
So
New Yorker's like, we don't use gas anyway. Why should what's
right.
going on with this?
What
We got
what
the
is this
subway.
gasoline that you speak of, right?
Yeah,
Or
come
even
on.
heating. Well, I think some people in rural areas might use some heating oil number two,
Hmm.
the diesel. Uh,
Yeah, the
so
diesel side.
so
Yep.
um, all right, then let's just talk quickly on gold.
Yep.
And as a setup, and then we'll cover it more in depth tomorrow because it's going to be so just kind of something to be
Hmm.
looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, we were definitely chopping back and forth. I mean, we had a strong push from the weekend, right? We had this area here, and again, this is very hard to analyze, even on the 30 minutes, just because again, there's so. I mean, looking at this little area right here, there are so many kind of wicks back and forth, and that's where we ended on Friday, and then we jumped into Sunday. It kind of used that level, and we hit it a few different times, right? Here's one, here's two, here's three, and now it finally, just in the last 30 minutes, has finally
As
broken
soon as we
through.
started talking, I said, "Hey, gold's not selling off,"
Gold
and
hasn't done
then
anything today. Yep.
it started selling off.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it's one of those things that this is where you use technology, guys. I mean, if there's a level here and we've hit it and hit it again, it's like listen, when it breaks, this could be something here because we still have this big parabolic move on Friday of last week. So we know the price wants to come back down again. We know that there's going to be some buyers stepping in. I mean, if you were already short, your profit target will be sitting here at about the black line, right? You'd be
1820.
sitting,
Yeah.
yeah, around 18, 19, yeah, 1820. That you'd want to have your profit target there. Where the next area of buyers really stepping in, where you could potentially take a long from this one, sitting probably around in this area right here at this 1815. And again, is it the ideal opportunity? No, because it did spend a lot of time there, and it kind of took off. But because of this touch and kind of got front run on that position and then exploded off, to be able to make that type of move in gold, and we're talking about what in 30 minutes about $25, $27. That's a big move. The only way to do that is with a lot of buying pressure. So there's still probably going to be some orders sitting in that area. So, at this point, if you were not short from the top, and you could have been, there was an opportunity here to get kind of short on this one. I would say wait for it to come down, take a bounce, and look for 1815 to be a potential bottom for today. And again, if 1815 fails, then again we have the same thing that we were talking about before. Big run up in price. Wait for the Harry Potter confirmation to the downside, and look for this to come back down into kind of the level down here where we were looking for buyers again.
I just think it's funny that when we started, it wasn't selling off. And then while we were actually speaking for the last 15, 18 minutes, that's when it decided to go.
Yeah, I mean, and
They made me a liar.
yeah, and understand this is why. I'll make this a little bigger so you guys can see it. There's the European Open, right?
Yeah.
There's that session open that I mentioned last week in the presentation about gold and oil trading. Session open did what? It went straight up, and then all of a sudden we started to stop and stabilize around about 7:30, 8 o'clock. U.S. trader comes online. They're doing profit taking from all the gold trading right here.
Yeah.
Right. And what do they do? They just start selling it, and that's where we saw the drop. So again, session open trade, rolling into the next section, they're selling their profits, and then that's why we're seeing a push.
Yep. Definitely something you got to pay attention to for sure. Those European session for gold. All right.
Yep.
With that, any questions for Nadex, please email us, customerservice@nadex.com. Any questions for Brian, please email him, support@keeptradingsimple.com. We are all accessible. I did drop a link in for the full-blown session today, noon Eastern. If you're not registered, please feel free to join us. We'll also record it, post it to the YouTube channel. So that's kind of what we went through today. Was U.S. equities all looking right now in the red. Everything is selling off, being led by tech stocks. Watch that NASDAQ. Oil did give back its gains from yesterday after people sort of came to their senses, realizing that it's gasoline and diesel fuel that's going to be a challenge with this hack, not necessarily oil. And gold wasn't selling off. Gold was sort of trying to hold its price because we're talking about inflation. It wasn't going up. Well, nope. Instead, they turned it over. European session ends. They're actually selling gold a little bit now. With that, we will catch you hopefully later this morning, right at noon, midday today, Eastern. Otherwise, we will catch you tomorrow morning. We want to wish everyone good luck in the markets. Thanks, everyone.